I started architecture school, they gave us a statistic about how many people would visit a building. And they broke it down into degrees of how many people would even know that a building was built, some kind of iconic architecture, like the Eiffel Tower, people would know about. But then if you go further down the line, who would know about, say, the Shard in London? Also iconic building, but maybe less so, maybe only the British, maybe only people in London. So there's a percentage of people that know about the building, and then there's an even smaller percentage of people that would ever see that building from the outside. And then there's an infinitesimal amount of people that actually even go into the building. And this is interesting because there's so many buildings that are beautifully crafted and that deserve our attention and that have never been thought of, seen, or visited. So I'm going to take you into a building in my hometown, which is Ra'anana. Ra'anana is just north of Tel Aviv, a small town, and it has a remarkable building just on the outskirts of it. The Open University is quite a large piece of land situated at the very edge of Ra'anana, right by the number 4 highway. But it's accessed via the very first road as you come into Ra'anana, road number 1, or traffic light number 1, called Ravutsky Street, which is a residential street. And if you didn't know about it, or if you had no reason to be there, you would probably never see it. The Open University is, as it sounds, a university that anybody can go to. They don't need a previous degree. It's an off-site learning university. A lot of internet courses now, but when it was established, it was an off-site university. But it's a building as a university campus, and that's the way it's been designed. I'm going to read to you what Adakami Melamed architects have put onto their site. And explain it a little bit from there. The new campus of the Open University of Ra'anana is situated on the outer edge of Ra'anana, on a wedge-shaped site which results from the junction of a regional highway and a residential street. Given this context, the scheme was developed as an introverted entity, a microcosm of the university town, with an internal cityscape and landscape unique to itself. This was achieved by inserting 2 independent spatial figures into a wedge that stretched the full length of the site and create a spatial interlock in plan and section. So this is a lot of architecture speak, but let me unpack it for you. The main accommodation of the building is set around 2 squares. You get the feeling of buildings beyond buildings, and views beyond views. A lot of thought has been put into what you see at each station, and even within the building, there are a lot of surprises of a sudden window, a glance, a view out. So when Ada speaks about the building being self-referencing, that's exactly the feeling you have. You're inside the building and you see beyond, onto the building itself, not into Ra'anana as it were, but onto what you might imagine to be a sprawling campus. To continue, the first figure is an internal street which begins at a high point of the site and descends into an urban square where all of the public functions of the university are concentrated. The second figure is a green valley which carves out of the earth as it flows down from the public square, terminating in an outdoor amphitheatre. A tension is created between these extremities, with the square representing the enclosed concentration of building form and the amphitheatre an open expansion of the intervening green. These 2 domains are held together by the visitor centre, which is placed at the point where the piazza is concluded and the valley begins. In this way, a dialogue is created between the visitor centre, which acts as the focal point of the square and demonstrates the ongoing changes in the university, and the amphitheatre, which is nestled deep down in the earth and represents the preservation of tradition. The rhythm of the colonnades gives the building a very traditional feel, very classical feel. This kind of detailing is taken through into the internal corridors that has the same repetition, the same rhythm. Although this is a classical traditional building, very modern materials of the off-shutter concrete, of glass fins and steel window frames have all been used to great effect. The landscaping is used as an element within itself. as a building block and as a material. And this really comes through in the flowering of these orange plants that give softness to what might otherwise be quite a hard, harsh landscape. This building is rendered in an off-shutter concrete on the outside, on the facade, and also around the colonnade. And on the inside, it is rendered with it is clad in a stone. Again, solidity, tradition, classical, these are all the overtones of the building. Adhikari Melamed also received an interior design award for the exceptional interior of the synagogue, the shul on the site, the Beit Avraham synagogue. It's a tiny space, magnificently detailed in timber and in concrete.